Muito obrigado. I apologize in advance because I will speak in English, not in Italian or in Portuguese. And I would like to thank those who are translating what I'm saying right now. I think it's not easy to translate in Italian, speaking English, while living in Sweden. I hope that my Swedish accent is not so evident. Probably not. I will try to keep it down. It's my first in Brazil. Thank you very much for welcoming me here. And I have to say that you guys are making me feel at home here. So thank you very much. So the topic of my presentation is kind of fascinating, I would say. It's place branding. I've been researching place branding for about 6 years. First in Italy during my PhD, and then in Sweden during my postdoc. First of all, what is place branding? Probably not all of you are acquainted with this expression. I'm going to make you one example. When I meet my students for the first time in the classroom, they know that I am Italian. And when I introduce myself, I say that I'm Italian, and what I get from there as a feedback is a smile every time. They are happy. They seem to be happy about the fact that I come from that country. And if I ask them to name at least a couple of things they have in their mind when they heard mentioning Italy, they come up with very positive things, right? So my students are very positively influenced by the place I come from. But let's say that I make the same question to a manager of a multinational company that, for example, has to move to Italy to work. Probably the first things he will mention when he listens to the word Italy are not so positive. He would mention bureaucracy. Probably he would also mention kind of fierce unions fighting for the workers. Probably he would mention a very intricate public administration. What I'm saying that every place influences things originated in that place, positively, negatively, also neutrally. Let me start by showing you this face, not a very known face, but this guy, an architect and urban planner from the States, wrote a very influential book in 1960. The book is titled The Image of the City. This book is very important because for the first time, cities are understood not only as fixed environment, built environment, physical things, but also as something that is being perceived by inhabitants, tourists. So places, cities in particular, are both physical and mental. Here you see two representations of the city of San Francisco. These two pictures represent the same city with some similarities and some differences. The mental mapping was the technique used by Lynch to demonstrate that city users understand city differently, with some recurrent patterns, but in a very specific way. This picture, by the way, is taken by a very recent dissertation written by a student at Berkeley University. One city, several mental maps, several representations. But what about if we were asked to put on paper a place that we don't know, a place we have never been to? Probably, in drawing this map, we would draw on stereotypes. And here you see a very funny map drawn by a designer showing the stereotypes that Latin American people attribute to European countries. So, for example, what about Italy? Italy, according to this representation, stereotypical representation is all drama, we are drama queen, right? No dancing. But I'm not so worried because Germans are much worse, right? In your representation, all work, no dancing. So at least we have drama, right? What I'm saying is that even though probably largest part of Latin American population has never been to Europe, they, anyway, are able to say something about European culture. They have something in their mind about these places. And most of the time, these images are stereotypical. So, then we can ask this question. Can we think of places as brands? What we have in mind about places can be thought of something that deal with branding. We know that we live in a branding society, right? Everything is becoming branding. We have a lot of brands and marketing science in our cities. What about cities themselves? Can be they treated and managed as brands? Yeah, first of all, the brand of my country is very often used to ensure the quality of clothes. And in this case, yeah, we don't have any doubts. Places, in this case nations, can be used as brands. Yeah, what about furniture design? Probably all of you are familiar with IKEA, this very famous Swedish brand. They purposely used the colors of the Swedish flag by meaning that they want to give this idea of very smart design applied to furniture. So in this case, again, another country become a source of positive associations for the products that have been produced there. Or sometimes we have a probably more interesting phenomenon in which it's very difficult to distinguish between the place and the product and the brand. I don't know if you have heard of Bordeaux. It's an area in France. This area is very famous for the production of a very good red wine. So the red wine is called Bordeaux. The area is called Bordeaux because the wine comes from there. So in this case, the brand Bordeaux means two things, the place and the product. And there is an overlapping between the two. Again, this phenomenon becomes even clearer if we think of the special type of glass that is being produced in Venice, and in particular in Murano. Murano is a very small island in the Venice area, in the lagoon. Sometimes the association between a place and the product that is being produced in the place becomes so tight that protecting the product with the trademark is the same stuff as preserving the place. If I preserve the place, I would be more likely to preserve the product. On the other hand, yeah, places are doing branding in a very, let's say, very outspokenly. Nations are doing branding. Cities are doing branding. This AIM Amsterdam is a very famous campaign undertaken by the city of Amsterdam. Also, regions are doing branding. Probably you're not familiar with that Italian region, but you have good examples in other countries as well. And if you look at research, at the research that tries to understand the phenomenon of place, production, and marketing, we witness a certain tendency, the shifting from the idea of marketing a place to the idea of branding a place. This figure has been elaborated by my colleagues in Stockholm and shows the development of this concept over years. Nowadays, branding has taken over the idea of marketing because probably branding suggests the importance of images, the importance of symbols that revolve around places. And place branding is a set of techniques and knowledge applied to places in order to manage the image and representation. Place branding can be used to attract tourists, of course. A destination with a better image has more chances of being picked up by tourists. Place branding can be used for attracting companies in a territory, in order to attract investments, in order to attract companies relocating, for example, or searching for a place in which to move the headquarters. But at the same time, place branding can be used also to attract people. And this is probably the least known form of application of place branding. Some cities are struggling hard in order to win students, talented workers. Some people are struggling hard in order to make the city more appealing to existing citizens, in order to boost what is called civic pride. A better image among the residents, according to some researchers, is a very important way to foster the identification of people with the city. But, and this is probably the most important point of my presentation, this is the message I want to get across. Place branding has been done so far in largely unsatisfactory ways, to quote Gregory Ashworth. So place branding is a very important tool, but at the same time its implementation has been not satisfactory. Why? First of all, we didn't witness homogeneity in the way that cities have tried to express their identity through visual devices. Here you see two very outstanding campaigns, if you want, I Amsterdam and Be Berlin. You can immediately note the same colors on the screen, black and red. You can immediately note that the verb to be has been used in both cases in order to play with words. The same themes have been used in place branding by different cities. Any city want to be innovative. Any city want to be creative. Any city want to be sustainable. Any city want to be green. So, not only that, because we also can witness reactions from the local population against these official branding campaigns. This is an example taken from Berlin in Germany, where people had fun in writing on the posters and inviting people to just be themselves instead of following the recommendation of the campaign. The same thing happened in Stockholm. This is the official branding campaign of Stockholm. Stockholm, the capital of Scandinavia. Some people, let's say, try to be critical about that. Some people try to say, oh, probably Stockholm is just das Kapital of Scandinavia, in order to stress that probably that device is just a mere economical tool. That's why today I would like you to understand a little bit more 7 areas of improvement, 7 areas of reflections I have elaborated to move place branding a little bit forward. First of all, keep in mind that when you brand a city, a logo is just one part of it. Place branding is more than a logo. Remember to complement traditional graphic design tools if you want to brand your city. As you can see, logos can be very similar to one another. Avoid uncritical faith in gurus and rankings. What do I mean? Rio has a very interesting and meaningful set of symbols and images. So be critical towards who is going to come up with very easy recipes for success. Be critical towards see in rankings the truth. You have different type of rankings that try to understand the image of your city, that try to position your city in a list of cities. Try to compare rankings. I'm not sure that rankings tell the truth always. They can be biased. Keep that in mind. Also, and this is the most important area, if you want to do some branding, try to define the problem. What do I mean? Why should we engage in branding? What is the reputational problem we have to fix through branding? Is it a problem that deals with citizens? Is it a problem that deals with tourism? Let's try to be specific in identifying our point of departure. Fourth, probably it makes sense to identify not only competitors, but also cooperators. We live in a network society, and if, for example, I am a Chinese tourist willing to visit Italy, I have some cities in mind. I would like to visit Rome, I would like to visit Florence, I would like to visit Venice. So probably for these 3 cities, it would make more sense to collaborate instead of competing. So competition is the key term. Please keep this in mind. Fifth, try to consider scalar relationships. Have you ever thought that your city is located in a region, the region is located in a state, that your national state is located within a continent? What I mean here is that when you try to engage in a branding effort for your city, try to think of whether or not it is convenient for you to draw on your national image or not to draw on your national image. Does it make sense for Rio to draw on Brazilian identity? Yes, no, we can discuss about that. Does it make sense for Tuscany in Italy to make an alliance with the national government? So try to think that cities are included within wider frameworks of regulations. Sixth, tourism is very important for branding, we know that, but try to understand also, try to consider also the emerging forms of tourism. Nowadays we have agritourism, for example, which is a very emerging theme, people going to a farm in order to learn agricultural activities. We have ecotourism, in which students, families want to discover aspects of the landscape. So let's try to use also other forms of tourism in branding our place. Finally, and probably here I'm also building on something that very clearly Enrique Penaloza highlighted today. Don't forget infrastructure, don't forget mobility. It is possible to brand a city by leveraging the communicational effect of an improved, for example, transportation infrastructure. And this is my only thought for today. Sometimes cities try to highlight creativity, sustainability, and more ethereal and high-end characteristics. But I think we could do a much greater branding if we try to highlight the value, the communicative value that infrastructure and public services can have, not only for tourists, but also and above all for citizens. Thank you very much for your attention. It was a pleasure for me to be here.